Welcome to Matthew chapter 13. We're continuing here on the same day, so perhaps a specific Shabbat that has to do with harvest, and the Shabbat being tied in with 1,000 years of what it would be like in the Messianic age where God wants to do good to all. Now, in regard to that, this chapter is about parables. So, does God want to hold back and be stingy and keep his truth only for a certain select group of individuals? And does he want to deceive the rest? Or does he find a way to speak in a language that they can understand? So, let's ask the Spirit to guide us through this chapter and reveal to us what God would have us learn. And that day Yeshua went out of the house and went to the sea and sat by its shore. And many people gathered there. Because of this, he went up into a boat and sat, and all the people stood on the shore of the sea. Then he told them many parables. Here it says parables, and other places it's going to say comparisons. So I'm wondering if this is two different words in the Hebrew. And he said, a certain man went out to sow his seed. And while he was sowing, some kernels fell by the road. Then some of the birds came and ate them. And some fell in a place or a field of stones, where there was not much soil, and they sprouted immediately, because there's no depth, so you can see the sprout right away, but that's a tender sprout, for they did not have deep soil. But when the sun heated them, they dried up, and they did not have a root. And others fell between the thorns, or thorn bushes. The thorns grew up and strangled them. And others fell in good ground and produced much fruit, in one 100, in one 50, and in one 30. Whoever has ears, hear. Well, everybody has ears. Says Shema. When you hear, you're going to also listen, like you're going to obey. Then some Talmudim came near unto him and said to him, why do you speak in comparisons versus parables? Now, Jews have a level that is called midrash, that is stories. So these are things that are not necessarily true, but they're told because they're trying to bring out a teaching, a truth. So it might even be about like maybe Abraham or whatever. And these are things that are like object lessons that aren't all about like historical accuracy necessarily. So this is something that was already employed where it'd be called midrash, I think. A drash is just like a teaching, right? And he answered them, saying, to you it is given to understand the confidential or private counsels of the kingdom of heavens, but not to them. So there's like these levels of interpretation where first you need to understand the physical, literal meaning, and that is the Peshat. So our channel is Pardes, which is an acronym for first Peshat, and then Remez, which is like a hint or allusion, and then the Drash, like a midrash. So all of this is to help prepare you for the secret hidden level. So the confidential, the sod, you can't just understand that. The natural mind can't understand that. The natural man understands natural things. So first, you have to understand the peshat, the basic literal meaning. So that's why he has to talk to them in comparisons, like talking about just everyday physical stories, and that's going to give a picture in their mind that's going to help develop like in their spirit to help them be able to grasp now the spiritual things. but not to them. Whosoever has, let him give to man, and let him give abundantly. And whosoever does not have, this little that he has, a man will rob from him. So now, much different than most translations. It said before, it'd say something like, whosoever has, to him more will be given, and whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. So here, actually, if you want to have, if you are a somebody who has a lot, he gives to the givers, to the hand of the giver. So if you have a lot of water flow through you, then more water will be able to flow through you. But if you're a well, like you're stopped up on all sides, then your water becomes stagnant. And I guess your well would have to be emptied and cleaned. So the more flow you have through you, the more you're giving, the more you're actually receiving. So the point of having is to give and to give abundantly. So here you would say the disciples are those who have, because he says to you is given. So what should the disciples do with this information? Well, what is Yahushua doing? He is freely giving, but he's speaking to them on the level of physicality because that's the level that they are at, right? So what should the disciples do is they should share at the level that people are at. So now if we tried to go too fast and just go straight into the secrets, if we were to stand before God, our bodies would not be able to handle it because we haven't prepared ourselves. And so we would cease to exist. So you'd be taking away somebody's free will because in God's presence, you'd automatically want to do what is right. So you have to have like just enough information. So we learned like when he was saying, woe to you, Corazon, because if the mighty works have been done in Tyre and Sidon, or however it was. So what he's doing is like in Tyre and Sidon, he gave them just enough light for it to be in balance so that they still have their free will, but they still fell. But if they had even more, like Jonah or somebody, they would have repented, and repentance, or Sodom and Gomorrah, it would have stayed until this day. But then where is the free will in there? So he gives them enough light to give them the choice to choose, but not to take away their free will, because we're going to learn more about these people. And because of this, one speaks in comparisons, in order that seeing they will not see, so this is the result, and hearing they will not hear and not understand, in order that the prophecy of Yeshua should be fulfilled in them, saying, you will hear but not understand, and you will see but not perceive, for the heart of this people is fat, and its ear is heavy, and their eyes have been shut on account of this. So this is what happened to Israel when they came into the land. The physicality kind of swallowed them up. Instead of them being able to rule over it, it became, they weren't able to like conquer all of it, where some of the pagan influence still came in. These were like thorns in their sides. And so they became more focused like with the physical, and they lost sight of God. So God lets them have this freedom. It's something that they've chosen. So it says that they may not see and not hear and not understand with their heart and not repent, and that he would heal them. So God lets them have what they choose, and until they are like crying out ready for repentance, they would be able to see. So he's giving them that choice by giving them this story. As you can see, like everybody can read the New Testament. It says the translations for these parables, not all of them. So like even the disciples, he shouldn't have had to explain it to them, but when they asked, he freely gave them the explanation. So same with us, like if we ask for the explanation, he freely gives it. That's what it says. If anybody lacks wisdom, let him ask a God who freely gives. But the point is, God waits until we ask. He doesn't give us like so much that it would overwhelm us, because that's part of our overcoming process. We have to want it, we have to seek it, we have to have faith. He doesn't just automatically reveal everything, go straight to the spiritual. So here the footnote is, and be healed, versus he would heal them is an alternative. But your eyes are blessed, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Well, how are they able to see and hear? Is because they're not weighed down with the physical. They've not grown heavy, so they've kind of left those things behind. And because they were willing to do that, it liberated them a lot. So like I said before, all the physical is not negative, it's not evil, but if it's not beneficial, then it kind of is like the definition of evil according to Hebrew, because what is good is beneficial, what is not beneficial is kind of like evil for us. So the more physicality you can shed off, the more you'll be able to see spiritually, because it does weigh you down. For in truth, I say unto you that many prophets and many scribes long to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. So for people like the disciples, he calls them above and beyond, people like the priests above and beyond, because these are the least physical people. They kind of just leave everything. They don't even have ownership of the land properties. And this allows them to see and hear more clearly. But even these most spiritual ones did not get to see and hear all of this. Therefore, you must hear, to obey, the parable of him who sows. He who sows is the preacher, and the seed is the word of Yud-He-Waw-He. So he's sowing seed in their hearts, all of them. He who hears the word of Yud-He-Waw-He, but does not understand it, Hasatan comes and uproots it from his heart. So Hasatan is the birds, Satan and his angels. And this is the seed that fell close to the road. And that which fell between the stones, or like in the field, right, the stony field, is he who hears the word of Yud-He-Waw-He and receives it with joy. So they quickly spring up. However, he does not have a root and dries up quickly. So they lack a lot of, like, a Jew is going to spend a lot of time, like his whole life, learning these precepts. And so somebody could easily snatch this seed from him, or the stones, I guess they're hard soil. For through indignant or cursing speech, they are immediately confused. That would be like hardness, where somebody's speaking negative cursing and things like that. And so their soft soil is now like hardened maybe. That which fell between the thorns is he who hears the word of Yud-He-Waw-He, but he has sighings, anxiety, worries about this world to gather, and it strangles some of the word of Yud-He-Waw-He, which was sown in his heart, and it does not produce fruit. But that which fell in the good ground is he who understands the word of Yud-He-Waw-He and obeys it and produces fruit and good works. One has 100, 150, and 130. So the people perish for lack of knowledge. If you can understand, so even these, they understand a little bit, some of it. Well, this is added, unless it's added for like gapping, but it probably would say. So basically, if you understand, you're not going to do wrong. You're going to do right. Almost all of us, we sin just because of like temporary insanity. We're led astray with our own lust, enticed. But if we really knew, like if we weren't in this body that's weighed down by the flesh, we wouldn't do it. Like if we were just spiritual beings in God's presence, we'd all know better. And so thus we would, like almost all of us, not sin. So there's like that high level of like unforgivable, where like the devil, he completely knows better, not deceived, and yet puffed up and knowingly sins. And there was another parable before them, and he said, but even the devil is kind of, God allows him to be deceived. So maybe he started off just that first instant, but now he doesn't know everything, so he would naturally be a little bit deceived. He allows us to be led away by our own lust. So we want to think we're better, that's what we're focusing on, then we're going to end up being completely darkness. All the light goes from us, which is the knowledge. The heavenly kingdom is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while the men were sleeping, his enemies came and sowed thistles or nettles, this must be a different word than thorn bushes, upon it, referring to the field, among the wheat, and went away. And when the plants grew up and produced fruit, then the thistles were seen among the wheat. So the servants came and said to the master, Did you yourself not sow good wheat in your field? If so, who sowed thistles upon it? And he said to them, The enemy, man, did this thing. Literally, the man, the enemy, did this thing. So, like, man is supposed to be the head, but he gets replaced by Messiah, who ends up being our head, our husband, because man is supposed to give light to the woman who didn't have this knowledge, but maybe he added to it or something. But the woman was deceived, the man wasn't deceived. So man, maybe just being like a selfish shepherd, doesn't bring light to the kingdom like the woman as he should have. So the servants said, Do you want that we should go and gather it? But he said, No. In the margin there is vor. So it could also say, No, in order that you do not root up the wheat with the thistles, leave everything until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather the thistles, and bind them in burdens, and burn them, but gather the wheat into my granary. So I'm not saying like man is the bad and woman is the good. Woman was in the darkness, and so man's like this picture, but everybody's kind of got like a little bit of male, female, and kind of all humanity on a broader spectrum when we go up a scale is this female in darkness, and Messiah is like the man, the husband. So it's not like man versus woman. Those who are like the chaff of the wheat or the thistles, these get burnt. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heavens is like the mustard seed that a man plants in his field, which is smaller than all the seed vegetables, but when it grows up is bigger than all the seed vegetables and becomes a tree, big enough that the birds may rest and stay in its branches. He told them another comparison. The heavenly kingdom is like leaven, which the woman takes and hides it by mixing it. That's just their understanding of it. So when you knead your dough, the leaven is getting mixed in and you can't see it, and mixes it into 3 measures of flour until everything is leavened. All these words Yeshua spoke in comparisons. On account of this, the margin adds the words tehiyeh. So it could say, this happened in order to fulfill the prophecy which says, I will open my mouth with parables, and I will speak words hidden from antiquity. So, like, God isn't manipulative. He's not showing favoritism. He gives us this free opportunity where he's telling everybody like the Peshat, right? And within that is all the levels hidden, and you can ask the Spirit, you can ask God for wisdom, and he'll freely give it. But he doesn't make it like God is so concealed you wouldn't know God is around you, right? But he's all around you. So when you look for him, you will find him. You have to look. And so same with these fulfillments of prophecy. It's not like he's saying, I'm purposely doing this to fulfill prophecy. He's just so surrendered that he is the word. This is just like God is. So God is unchanging. And when God is in us, when we're surrendered to the Spirit, then we're naturally going to be fulfilling like who God is, what the word is. So this is just like another proof of his veracity, of his truth. I will open my mouth with parables, and I will speak words hidden from antiquity. So it's like the word is speaking about the word. So it's just lining up. That's what it is. Then he let the troops or crowds go, and he came into the house. And his Talmudim came near to him, saying, Explain for us the comparisons of the thistles of the field. So he answered and said, He who sows good seed is the son of the virgins. Like again, we are the ones who have to change. We are the ones who have to ask. It's not like God is being the one who's playing favorites, treating people differently. Everybody got this message, but not everybody comes and asks. It's given to the one who seeks, who asks. The field is the world, and the good seed are the righteous ones, but the thistles are the evil ones. And the enemy who sows them is Ha-Satan. And the time of the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the messengers. So in the first, or one of the other parables, Ha-Satan was like the birds of the sky, but now we're finding that he also sows evil ones into the field to try to crowd out some of the word. I mean, it might be a different word in the Hebrew, but seems like a similarity. And the time of the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the messengers. For like a man who gathers the thistles and burns them, so it will be or happen at the end of the world. The son of Eloah, God singular, will send his messengers. All the stumbling blocks could also mean those who cause to stumble in his kingdom, and the evil ones he will place in the fire of Gehenna, and there will be weeping and trembling of teeth. Then the righteous ones will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whosoever has ears to hear, let him hear to obey. And the heavenly kingdom is like gold hidden in a field, which when a man found it, he hid it. So it's just like his teachings. Gold hidden in a field. Anybody could have come and found it. And because of his joy, he sold all that he had and bought that field. Moreover, the heavenly kingdom is like a merchant who searches for valuable stones. He's searching. This other one seemed to have happened upon it. And when he found a good valuable stone or a good gem, he went and sold everything that belonged to him and bought the stone, leaving all else behind. Moreover, the heavenly kingdom is like a net which a man places in the sea that gathers all kinds of fish. And when they take it out, they select the good ones into their vessels, and they cast out the bad ones. So it will be at the end of the world. The messengers will come and separate the evil ones from the good ones, and will place them in the way of fire, and there will be weeping and shaking of teeth. Do you understand all these words? And they said, Yes. And he said to them, Therefore every wise scribe is like unto the heavenly kingdom, and unto a father of riches, or a rich father, who gives from his treasure many new and old things. Things that they can connect with in order to put in a little bit of newness. And it happened, when he ended these comparisons, that he departed from there, and came to his own land, and taught them in the houses of their assemblies, until they were amazed, saying, Where does this man have so much wisdom and so much power? Is this not the son of a smith? And is he not like his mother and his brothers, or male relations, Yaakov and Joseph and Shimon and Yehuda and his sisters, his female relatives, not relations. So it probably means sisters and brothers, but it could be extended to more distant relatives. All of them are with us. From where does he have all of this? And they were offended in him. It shows that they were looking at the physical. But Yeshua said to them, No prophet is without honor, except in his land or in his house. And he did not do many wonders there because of their small faith. So he would have done whatever. It was because they were swallowed up with the physical. So they were not able, because of their lack of faith, to receive more. Which one describes you? Are you somebody who is stingy? It doesn't matter how much physical wealth you have. Those who have are those who are seeking to understand what the Spirit is saying through these physical comparisons, these parables. They're seeking and they will find, and they're not weighed down with the physical. So everybody has a seed of faith. Everybody has the word planted in them. But if you are more worried that somebody is going to steal it from you and you need to keep it for yourself, then you're going to lose even that bit of light. However, if you are someone who has sought and found this hidden gem, and whatever light he's given you, you've taken it and you've put it on the hilltop so that it could give light to all, in the way of whatever level they're on. Maybe they can just start with the physical and you're telling them a comparison, like entry level. Then you are someone who a lot of light is going to begin to flow through. But this is up to you. It's up to all of us what kind of vessel we are. One that ends up getting shut up like stagnant water where it becomes dirty. If we're being stingy, then that vessel will have to, if it's a clay vessel, it'll have to get broken. If it's a different kind of vessel, it'll have to get washed in the water, put through fire, different ways of cleansing in the Torah. But if we are living water flowing through us, then that is cleansing for everyone that it touches. So definitely an encouragement for us that he gives to the hand of the giver. So which one will we be? Thanks for listening, and I pray you are blessed.